Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast. Here is the title. My name is Jed, and we are reading the Phaedo. We are currently unpacking the last speech of Socrates in the Phaedo, perhaps the last speech he's going to make before he passes on to a higher dimension. And he has been telling us about what that dimension is and why the study of it and the experience of it and the repeated experience of it and the talking about it and the integrating that experience into our study is all our meaning of life, all our purpose here, all the education that we are here for, the nurturing that we are here for. And it's the most important thing that we can do. Also, because we're in the philosophy game, we have to do side B. What follows if we don't understand, experience, integrate, practice, repeatedly talk about this higher dimension of Earth? And he points out the worst conditions of the soul will follow. You'll end up hating the logos. You won't reach being or truth. You will suffer many suffering, and it's important to get the text exactly right. You'll suffer human ills. You will struggle much and you'll suffer much until you start learning this kind of thing that we are calling the art of the logos, the thing that Socrates needs to pass on before he goes there. So we've been learning about the art of the logos and why, not just trusting that it's the purpose of life, the reason we're here, what we should be doing at all times, but understanding why it has to be the case and understanding how to structure that understanding. How do we make the argument that this is our purpose? How do we convince ourselves? How do we change our mind? And how do we use it in our conversations with others? If you meet up with your friend for coffee, cheers. What are you going to talk about? Are you going to talk about the art of the logos? Are you going to talk about the soul? Are you going to talk about our purpose, the meaning of life? If not, lame. If you are, how well are you going to do it? Are you going to use the dialectic in your conversation? And this, of course, all of us together, is art. Understanding the structure, understanding the terms, understanding the paradigm, having an experience of the paradigm, and using it to benefit yourself and your friends. This is the art of the logos. This is what we've been learning. This is what we've been on a hunt for, and this is a good way of understanding what philosophy is. And because of that, we can even upgrade the name philosophy, philosophia, to philodianoia. Because essentially, what we're doing is learning dianoia, a kind of understanding that involves the art of the logos, the dialectic, the self-logos terms directed towards being, integrating it in nous, the experience, using it with our virtues, the currency we upgrade our nurturing of virtues for phronesis. All of this is the method of dianoia. So one of the questions we can get, what's the relationship between Sophia, wisdom, and dianoia? Seems to be pretty close. So, thank you for joining me in chat. Glad to see that you're here. For those watching on YouTube, I live stream on YouTube and Twitch. You can join me on the chat in either. And for those watching at a later time, you can subscribe to the channel or subscribe to my Twitch channel and join me in real time. Throw some questions or emojis in the chat as we go, or puzzles. or insights or personal experiences. They're all good, they're all useful. Philosophy is not a one-person game. So, all that in mind, Socrates is describing what the real earth looks like. Sometimes he calls it the self-earth, sometimes the true earth, sometimes the higher earth. That's interesting. I wonder why all of those adjectives fit. He's talking about what gives him the qualification to talk about it. He has the understanding, he has the experience, he's completed his life's work. He's probably met the better men and gods that he expects to run into or meet up with now that he has completed his work. As what the Hindus might say, escaped the cycles of reincarnation, of death and rebirth, to go to a higher realm that we are loosely calling the sixth dimension. If our 3D world is the 3 dimensions, if our soul out of the body is the 4th, usually, well, not usually, sometimes people call time the 4th dimension, but if we call the 3D realm the world realm of time and space, we can call the 4D realm that which is beyond time or outside of time, where our soul can access. And if there's a place that our soul can go while out of the body, we can call that the 5D, 5th dimension. If there is a place beyond the back and forth between here and there, we can call that the 6th. And if where we're there, we meet better men who've completed their work, who are fellow travelers and guides, and they must be traveling to somewhere. So we're loosely calling that the 7th. So we're keeping all that in mind while we read Socrates' description of the true earth or the higher earth, and all of the channels, rivers, lakes, and things that are there. We have been making notes because that makes it easier to understand. So far, he's used some interesting metaphors. We are like somebody in the sea who's never lifted his head out of the sea. Hey, yo, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. We've never beheld sight of the surface. Oh my God. We've never even heard about the surface from someone who's seen it. This is what we hear a lot. We talk about, hey, nobody's ever experienced a higher dimension and come back to talk about us. What they really mean is no one's actually done that we can't dismiss as a crazy, because there are a lot of near-death experiences that you can find on YouTube and a lot of experiences people have had in many different ways. But generally speaking, people don't really talk about it that much. So we're like this guy. We think we're seeing the sun and the things in heaven, in the heavens, but we don't. So we want to be like this guy, who we are assuming is Socrates. Another metaphor is, we want to be like a fish. Only knows the world of the sea, under the sea. I'm a great singer. Under the sea. But he can stick his head out from the water and see the actual earth. Just like, that's what this means. Just like, that means this is a metaphor. We can have wings on our soul, and we can stick our head above whatever the equivalent of water is, above the air, into a different dimension, and see the realities. He's calling them the realities. He describes Earth as a 12-sided multicolored ball, which is weird, but curious, and will help us if our job is to look for questions. And here's a big one right here. Why are there 12 sides? Why is it multicolored? These colors are what the cause of the colors that painters use. He's mentioned another metaphor. We're like in the valley of Earth and we want to climb up. Oh, but in this Earth, there are valleys where all of these pure colors, greater, more pure, more beautiful colors, go into these valleys and create a mix under here, whatever that means. Lots and lots of questions. There are trees, flowers, fruits, hills, and stones. The stones are more smooth and transparent. There's no decomposition or corruption. This decomposition and corruption is the cause for deformity and disease in our earth, in the stones, earth, animals, and plants on our world. So he's talking about the cause of our growth and decay that we can see if we look at the real world. So in chat, we're talking about dreams. So what Socrates is doing is he's using metaphor to talk about something. He is saying, hey, we are like a under the sea creature, or we are like a fish that wants to stick his head above the water. Now, how do we make sense of these metaphors? Well, we look at the meaning. And we let the particulars drop away. And this is what we've been doing all the way through our reading. Like we start by being a lover of learning, and we look for particular beautiful things or particular just things. But we ask the question, what is the meaning of them? Why do we see beautiful things? They are what scientists call epiphenomenal. They're not needed. You can explain biology and evolution, you can explain the physical world without necessarily needing beauty. So why does it exist? And why is it more causal than physical things? Why do we seek beautiful things? Why do we seek what's good and just? So we go from the particulars to the self of beauty or the self of justice. So what are we doing? We're looking for the meaning, and Socrates points out the meaning or the purpose of them is to remind us of the realm of being. And they themselves seek the realm of being, but they fall short so long as they remain physical. So that's their meaning or purpose. So what are we doing? We're looking for the particulars, but then once we find them, we look for the meaning of them. What is beauty itself? Oh, it's directing us to remember or learn about being, or move from lover of learning, philomathesis, to lover of philosophy. So we bring the particulars together, look at the terms, look at how they relate to each other, look at how they're ordered. Then we look for their meaning and let the particulars drop away. This is how we learn from metaphor as well. So what's the meaning of this fish? Or the meaning of the sea creature? The meaning is something about reaching a higher level that we did not even suspect was there. We were 100% certain that the sea was the air. That was the atmosphere. We don't even know, because we've never lifted our head out of the sea before, so why would we? We've never beheld sight of the surface, so why would we? We've never even heard about the surface. Ain't no fishes walking around talking about what it's like on Broadway, or what's happening with the NBA teams. No one's talking about that under the sea. So this is the meaning of the terms and their relationships. So the two things in the world, there are things and there are relationships. So what are we doing? We're looking for the meaning, and then we let the particulars fall away. So we're not actually under the sea. We're not actually a fish. And it might not actually be wings when we separate our soul from the body, but it's like wings. So the same thing we do in dreams. Look for the key terms as we do when we read the text. Look for the relationship between the key terms as we do when we read the text. Hey, if we can find a hierarchical order, find that too. Are there some terms more causal? Put them higher on the list. Or with greater scope, same thing. Of those terms and relationships, can they fit together in triads or quadrads? Or duads? Find those terms and relationships. And where do we go from there? We look for the meaning of them. Where can we find similar relationships in our everyday world? In what's most meaningful for us, in particular in our philosophy? If this is the most meaningful thing, because this is our purpose, our paideia, or the meaning of life, or our higher cause. Can we see similar relationships pointed to in the particulars of our dream, that once we let the particulars fall away and we're left with only the relationships, then these terms are pointing to a higher meaning. The term isn't really a fish, the term is soul. That's how metaphor works. We're doing the same thing when we look at our dreams. So if you're dreaming, and you should be, if you are practicing recording or remembering your dreams, do this. Find the key terms. Is there an order in the terms? Are some terms higher or more important, more influential in the dream? Is there a goal that you are following these stages to reach? In which case, you can have the goal as the top of the hierarchy. What's your goal? And do you have stages or terms that you reach? How do you relate to those terms? How are you functioning towards those stages in the goal and the dream? Another key term is, where do you start? That's what we're doing when we're reading. Where does this text start? What's Socrates and Phaedo doing before they even go into the prison? What's the first thing Socrates says? What's the first description of Socrates given by Phaedo? That's a key term. So we're pulling out these, and by the way, this is what Socrates is pointing to too. He's saying, I'm not just going to explain these things, I'm going to mythologize them. It's important to do both. By the way, if you are understanding the realm of being and then you mythologize it, that's music. In the symposium, he mentions music is any skill where you bring your understanding of the realm of being into the realm of becoming. It's not just singing. So you could say our dreams are a myth. An analogy is the myth. This text, Socrates might be playing out a higher level of myth. So if we're doing all that, look for the key terms, the relationships. Can you find a structure to put them in so you can have a hierarchical arrangement? Take those terms and relationships. You might be one of those terms, your key term. Relationships, how are you functioning? The same thing that Socrates asked Phaedo, what was his logos and how was he functioning? And third, what was his goal? Euvenos said, what was the logos of Socrates? Please tell me, Phaedo. How did he function at the end? And what was his self-death like? What was your logos in the dream? What was your functioning? These are key terms in relationships. And did you reach your self-goal in the dream? If not, how far up did you get? And what was the cause of your problem? Because as Socrates says, part of the art is judging where you are between the goal and the problem. So take all of this, drop the particulars, raise it to the level of meaning, and see if you can see it in the text itself. Your dreams, if this is actually the purpose of our life, and we are doing the most important thing and the most meaningful thing. And as Socrates says, we have an allotted daemon to guide us. And as Socrates said at the start of the text, he listens to the guidance from his dreams, then maybe it all ties together somehow. The daemon, the dream, the guidance, the mastership, our reading, mastering the art of the logos, the way we read, dropping the particulars, raising to the level of meaning, the nature of metaphor as thinking, the necessity for Socrates to use metaphor to talk about what we don't yet see, the real earth. To do all that and apply it here. Right, in chat, we're pointing out the significance of naming things the way they are. This is important. We are naming the true earth. So when we do this, see this realm, we're bringing with us our understanding, our art of the logos, so we can name all these things. And look at how many names Socrates has given. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Not only is he defining what the real world is like, he's demonstrating what we should do. We should name it. And also pointed out in chat, when we do that, we drop what was false. We're dropping what is not the true earth or not our true selves. This is needed to change and grow and evolve and discover the truth. Would the logos win? Finding out what it means to function. Yes, this is important. If we are naming the things, then we have to learn the right names. This is our learning of the selfers or the self terms. And if we are judging our way of relating, then we need a paradigm. Judging it against what? Everyone on my street is an alcoholic, so does that mean that it's good to be an alcoholic? Is that the right functioning? Or is that vice? So we have to be learning the paradigm. That's what we're doing here. What is virtue? What is vice? What's the ideal functioning? What's justice itself? What's beauty itself? How do we purify ourselves from our problem, the shadow? Drinking is most just. Getting in fights to be tough guy is most beautiful. How do we purify ourselves from that? And then at the same time, learn what justice itself is, beauty itself is. This is what Socrates is describing, his experience of the paradigm. What causes the colors? What causes the gemstones? What causes our, the deviation causing our decay? So we need to stick our head above water to have a model for justice, beauty, all of the realities, so that we can judge how well we are doing in our world and in our dreams. And the better we can do that, the better we can see this world or understand it, dianoia. Ultimately both, but we start by dianoia. We start by learning, philomathesis, lover of learning, by reading this and repeating this. Then we organize it into its terms and hierarchies, and specifically do our dialectics on it. This is the translation into dianoia, making it ours. The dialectic is the structure that we put all these terms into. And then if we do that, we will stick our head above the water like this fishy, and we will actually look at it. Whatever level you're at, whether it's learning or trust, whether it's this dianoia or philosophy. So trust is philomathesis. Or whether you can actually stick your head above the water and integrate that experience into your dianoia, That's phronesis. We call that philophronesis. If we love it, philo means love. At any level, the better we are, or whatever level we're at, we can apply it to our judgment of ourselves. And Socrates says, by the way, when you die, you're going to get judged this way anyway. So you might as well figure it out. You might as well learn the rules of the game if you're playing it anyway. So this will help us to judge our goals. Are they good goals in our dreams? Our functioning, are we really functioning justly and beautifully? So this is all the art of the logos. You'll be able to relate to yourself and your dream selves artfully. In your dreams, in your life, and out of the body. All of it. Because that's what a paradigm is. It applies to everything. Right, and in chat pointing out that this also applies to daydreams. And what's interesting is, if we're seeing this in our daydreams too, same thing. Where does it start? Like the text, where does it start? What are the terms? What's the goal? How do you function in relation to your goals? Was it a success or a failure? In other words, how far did you go, or when did you get stuck? Are there any clues in the terms that might indicate your goal or where you're stuck, where you're at or where you're stuck? But also, if you're doing it in your daydreams too, you might find an interesting relationship, because now we've got two terms. We have daydreams and we have night dreams. They're different. What's the differences? What's the sameness? Because they are in a kind of relationship. Do they help each other in some way? What's their differences? What's their sameness? They do work together, by the way. Play this game and find out. I say that not to be a jerk. Like literally, try it out. Discover it. There are lots of differences and samenesses and relations between those two key terms that we can discover. Recording daydreams is good. States of mind, good point. States of mind, one of the key terms. What are the states of mind? It's not just the furniture. It's not just the stages of the dream towards your goal. It's not just your logos or words. It's not just your functioning. All of these are terms that can be hierarchically arranged and judged against the paradigm of the ideal that Socrates is helping us to discover and understand. But also, states of mind. Can you find the states of mind terms in your daydreams or night dreams? Is there a development? Is there a hierarchy? Did you go up and then down? What caused the fall? So these are all things we can apply this. Terms and relationships, the ordering in towards a hierarchy, and the application towards our highest goal. All of this we are seeing is the art of the logos, by the way. So we have lots of things we can practice the art of the logos on, which is good because Socrates is saying, hey, by the way, it's the meaning of life. It's why you guys are here. And he goes, come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, get into it. Come on, guys. Interesting differences between daydreams and night dreams. Interesting. Good. Keep up. Some insights being shared in the chat about the differences between dreams and night dreams. And what do? We collect them. Collect our questions and collect our hypotheses. Collect them, polish them up, do a dialectic on them. As you go through, you will have learned something, so do it again. You're polishing it up. This is the practice. This is the dianoia that can allow us to stick our head above the water. And once we do, we have some understanding in our back pocket. That we can use to benefit. So all of this applied to daydreams and night dreams and our lives, we can apply to the text. And specifically these ones here, this one here. So Socrates is talking about the trees, the flowers, the fruits, the hills, the stones, being better, more beautiful than the ones in our earth. Also, there are some living beings and humans on the earth. He gives us a metaphor. For us, the water or sea is to the air. As for them, the air is to the ether. And this is a change in purity. So these terms are hierarchically arranged. Water is less than air. Zoom in. Water is less than air. Air is less than ether. So there's two terms. There's a hierarchy. There's some kind of relationship we can discover. And there's a relationship between them. We drop the particulars to point to the meaning. What's the meaning? Levels of purity. This realm is more pure. Just as air is purer than sea, ether is purer than air. Socrates is giving us what we need to unpack and solve this mysterious part of the text. Those people, because there is a controlled climate, is that a metaphor for something? If this whole realm applies not just to the true earth, but as above, so below, to this soul that we are trying to improve, then is there a controlled climate? What would be the equivalent of a controlled climate for our soul? Right, in the dream, the difference, in the chat, difference between seeing the real thing and seeing a fake one behind some curtains. Does that relate to our question of levels of purity in some way? And are we becoming more pure in some way? So if there's a key meaning of the term, another thing we do is we go back and see where else was it mentioned. Same thing with dreams. If you have many scenes in your dreams or many different dreams in the same night, then if there's a key term in one, is it repeated? That's a theme. Is it repeated in other scenes? Is the theme repeated in other scenes? God damn it. Is the theme repeated in other scenes?
That's one for the blooper reel.
Because they can be tying things together. Hey, maybe when this theme was in this scene, there's a message that can help or tie into this one. And what do we get when we get two things that are connected? We rub them together like sticks, and that can bring a spark into light. Just like rubbing together two sides of a metaphor. Or rubbing together two triads, as we've been doing all the way through our reading. So one of these terms is purity. So we jump into the text. Interesting. Emanation. And we type in the word purity. Okay, it's only mentioned once. So now we type in the word pure. We've got the mud flowing purer or fouler. So that's in the same section. So there's purer and fouler mud in one of the channels, but we want to keep going back. We want to be, it is not lawful to enter the genus of the gods, to that realm or that dimension or that kind of the gods, without having practiced philosophy by being perfectly pure upon departing. Going from a one who loves learning to practicing philosophy in the right way, refraining from the desires of the physical body, which can be tough. Steadfast, don't surrender, stay strong, philosophers. Okay. Especially out of fear of becoming poor or losing your property or getting a bad rep for being a philosopher and not one of the cool kids. Okay, so this is becoming pure. So this is another time where the word pure comes up. So if that realm of the pure earth, or if the realm of the true earth is more pure, and that key word is pure, then maybe it ties to this idea of the soul. Pure is mentioned a lot of times in this section. We have to enter Hades in a pure way, which means not attached to the body. So he seems to be, and that's the whole reason we're learning, to be in communion with the divine company and of the pure and the uniform. So each of the times he mentions pure, he seems to be talking about separating from our physical body, which is curious. He's also talking about that realm. Pass into the realm that is pure and eternal and deathless. And we cease from our wandering, which is our wandering. It makes us wander about confused and dizzy as if we were drunk. Why? Because we're investigating through the perceptions of the body. Again, attached to the body, dragged around by the body. But we want to pass into the realm of the pure. So our soul is to be made pure by not dragging around the body or thinking through the perceptions of the body. But also we enter a realm that is pure, eternal, and deathless. And if we can, there's a part of our soul that can remain in the same way and always be the same as self or akin with self. This will be the ceasing from when she arises, so this is our rising out of the sea, self according to self and goes out. Self both ceases from wandering and always remains according to the same in the same way about those beings, insofar as she remains in contact with such beings. And how do we do that? A likeness of purity. And of course, the learning of the art of the logos. Dianoia, from learning to philosophy. This state of self is called phronesis. So now we have a word that joins the purity of our soul from separating up from the body and mastering the art of the logos and practicing it, and the purity of that realm, both of those tied together into a state where they're joined, or hyparxis is the word in the text. That's our phronesis. So lover of learning becomes lover of philosophy, becomes lover of phronesis. So this are all these sections of the text. Oh, and also he uses pure mindfulness, or pure. A true philosopher is firmly convinced that he will never encounter pure phronesis anywhere else but there. So there's a kind of distortion phronesis or shadow of phronesis when we are clever but applying our cleverness or our keenness of sight to our physical senses. Of course, this is vice. If you're a lover of the body, you'll become a lover of riches or honors, one or both of these. This is not true courage. This is not true temperance. This is a fake phronesis from a lack of discipline, when we master certain pleasures to be mastered by others, or we are doing what's brave out of actual fear of our riches or our honors or our body. So this impure phronesis, we've tied purity of soul with the purity of being. If they join together, this is a state of balloons called phronesis. And by the way, there is an impure phronesis, so the word purity comes up again to distinguish phronesis through the body, which is vice, or vice version of temperance, or vice version of courage, the opposite. Oh no, not the opposite, the shadow. So if phronesis is the pure with the pure, there's also an impure version of that. So again, the word pure comes up. So even in the phronesis, you got to make sure you are staying pure. Not thinking the physical world is most real and pure and clear. Now, all the way back on the second page, before even Socrates enters the picture, this is the start of the text. This is our key terms. What's the beginning? So, destiny. Socrates, in front of the beginning, was self-present Phaedo with Socrates on that day. What was the kind of logos that the man spoke before his death? Did you hear about the trial? He was put to get death later than his trial. Why was that the case? It's destiny. Destiny. Why? Well, because there was a ship sent to Delos crowned with garlands, flowers. This was in honor of the god Apollo. What does Apollo represent? So we have to keep the city pure during the time of the ceremony. So in the time that we are here on earth, maybe, we are to make ourselves pure. So here it is again, represented in a different mythology in the text itself. We can't kill Socrates because they have to keep the city pure during this time. No one must be executed by the government until the ship has made its journey to Delos. Is there a journey we have to make as part of our purification to pure phronesis? Make the journey and return here. This sometimes takes a long time whenever the winds happen to delay selves. Okay. Priest of Apollo crowns the stern of the ship, and because of this, Socrates remained a long time in prison between the trial and death. Is there a period between now and our death in which we are to keep our city pure of the soul? So again, we're tying the keyword pure through the text, which is like we do in dream analysis. Look for repeating themes. How do they tie together? Is there sameness and differences? Can you even tie them together hierarchically? Well, sure. Let's try it. So we've got a pure city. We purify our soul. This is separation from body. Physical senses, physical desires. We enter the pure realm of being. These two come together for phronesis. And of course, there is a pure or impure form of version of phronesis. which is again tied to how far you are attached to the body. So is this a progression? Linearly in the text it seems to be. So that's one order. What is the order or structure linearly? So we might call that in our dreams a progression through the narrative. So we would say, okay, we start in a city. The soul is even better than the city, of course. City is secondary. We can help the human race, of course. The better we can do our own task. Be greedy for the logos, says Socrates. If you reach truth, it will have a natural beauty and persuasive quality. So that's secondary. So soul is more important than the city. The realm of being is higher even than the soul. The integration of the two is higher even in phronesis. And by the way, if we have the phronesis with our education of the logos, we can add that in. The education of the logos, we can, the art of the logos and dianoia, we can distinguish pure and impure versions of phronesis. So this is plus the art of the logos to recognize vice and virtue, which is a higher level even than phronesis. To have phronesis and the art of the logos, so you can recognize vice versus virtue, but also so you can see what logos judge what logos maintains phronesis. We talked about that last time, but let's see it in the text. Maintains. Let's look for. Oh, here we go. We found it. Ah. We were there. Right, contention. Here we go. So if you don't do philosophy, you will be those who, if you end up not developing the art of the logos, you will have the worst condition of the soul, hating and reviling the logos, thus being deprived of beings and knowledge. Then have to be on guard against this condition. For those who are not philosophers, but are philonikos, people who love to fight and argue, debate bros, people who think they are wise and clever because they get in your face or they yell at you or they just Karens or Kens. All of the angry talking heads on right-wing networks, or all of the people who are popular on YouTube who are interested in drama. Like the drama, like to fight, like to point fingers. This person is a bad person because of this, cancel this person, or we should hate this person, or all that crap. They are lovers of contention, not lovers of philosophy, lovers of wisdom, or lovers of dianoia, even better. Okay, so these people, if they just become lovers of fighting, philonikos, they are unenlightened and they will engage in argument about anything. Yeah, they have lots of opinions. That always baffles me on these news networks. Bill O'Reilly was on Jon Stewart yesterday, at the time of this recording, or the day before. And I'm baffled. Who cares about his dumb opinions? Why? And he just gets there and he doesn't appeal to truth or facts or understanding. Definitely doesn't appeal to the philomathesis, actual learning, which would be reading this, repeating this, trusting this. Doesn't go into dianoia at all. Doesn't touch on real being, actually getting the truth. None of that. All this does is, here are my stupid opinions, and I have an opinion about everything. Why? Why do you have an opinion about everything? Oh, and your opinions just reflect your angry, problematic state of mind? Yeah, well, as soon as we can see your state of mind, we can guess your opinions about everything because your logos follows your state of soul, your level of phronesis, or your level of learning. Your words can inform the level of your art of the logos because that's the logos. Your state of mind tells us your nurturing of the soul. So we don't have to hear your opinions. We can look at you. Yeah, they're going to be angry, racist, tyrannical, lies because you love money and fame. And you will literally engage in argument about anything. So why, John Stewart, are you bringing out this doofus? It always baffles me. But maybe one day even Bill O'Reilly might come across a channel like this, or a person like the people in our community, and they will ask them questions. Hey, by the way, ever wondered about the pattern? So the same thing we're talking about dream analysis, about understanding our daydreams, how to read the text, we can apply to ourselves. Have you noticed a repeating theme? Have you noticed certain key words? Whenever you talk about understanding, you talk about opinions. Is that a key word? You always talk about us versus them. Is that a key theme? Is there a key state of mind? Can you hierarchically ask any of these questions that would cause him or any person to turn about upon themselves and reflect on self? That's ousia. With what? With logos. And if you are the one asking it and it benefits, because self-reflection with the logos benefits, because that's what we're here for, to learn the art of the logos, the self-logos, reflecting on self, then literally you'd be practicing an art. You'd be bestowing benefit by artfully asking questions that causes a reflection and might raise him from this lover of fighting to engage in argument about anything to actual learning. And then from learning, say, hey, by the way, these patterns that you are recognizing in your logos, your states of mind that cause your problems and might limit you from reaching your destiny, what's the cause of them? Now we're in the realm of being. So now we're a philosopher, because lover of learning is great, lover of wisdom is better. Because that's in the realm of being, the pure realm. So going back to our description, our physical city was the start of the text. We want a pure city. We want good guests on Jon Stewart's Daily Show. We want to purify our soul, reflect on ourselves, like we're saying, but then we want to do that so we can experience the realm of being. Now we've gone from learning to philosophy, and then if we can integrate the two through the art and the practice, through the education and nurture, we can get a state of self called phronesis. And if we have the art of the logos, we can judge the vice and virtue versions of them. So this is our progression. And all I talked about was finding one of those people who the love of learning hasn't taken hold and the love of philosophy hasn't taken hold. And how do we artfully use our art to bestow benefit? So we're on page 56. Takes hold. Just like he's saying here. For those who love learning, recognize that when philosophy took hold of them, their soul was wholly imprisoned and clinging in the body. Very much Bill O'Reilly like. So she would consider her reality through this, just as if through a cage. Just like the fish considers her reality through the sea. Right? So you're wallowing in every kind of darkness, perceiving that the strangest feature of our imprisonment happens to be through the desires, this purification from our physical desires. Hey, Bill O'Reilly, any guy? You love that fame and riches. Are these physical desires of your physical body? Isn't that strange? This is a self-imprisonment. And the strangest feature is this self-imprisonment will be the greatest assistant of your own imprisonment. So this ignorance and attached to the physical body and not a lover of learning is your own imprisonment. Okay? But the lovers of learning recognize, so if you have gone through a learning of this, you can recognize it. They don't know it. They're not loving learning. They're imprisoned in their senses. Lovers of learning can recognize that when philosophy takes hold of their soul, they were in such a state of affairs. Because real lover of learning is the trust and repetition, the reading like we're doing every day on this channel, of this, which is philosophy. He's giving a doctrine of philosophy. He says to repeat this doctrine of philosophy. When philosophy takes hold of her soul, she gently encourages her, tries to free her by revealing to her that searching through the senses is full of deceit, persuades and summons her to gather together, collect self by self out of the body. That's the purification. That's what awakens nous, and that's what we should trust. That leads to truth, and this is separating from our physical senses. Now, so we recognize that's where these people are at. These people who seem to be the lovers of having opinions. Here's a guy who has an opinion. Look at how angry he is. And now we have a different guy with a different opinion in a different state of mind. We're not going to hierarchically rank their states of mind, listen to their logos, judge the logos against the paradigm of the other logos. That would be actually beneficial. That would lead to understanding and removing problems and human illness and reaching a higher state of being. We're just going to have these lovers of fighting who will argue about anything be gross at each other. Well, those of us who are in this, watching this video, you're a lover of learning. So here it is, lover of learning. Page 17. We have to purify ourselves. Okay, so this is, again, purification. We want to enter a pure state. Our body keeps us busy, causes our war, civil discord and battles. Wars come from seeking possessions for the sake of the body, enslaved or imprisoned to its care. But even if we do have time for philosophy, the body comes pouring in a clamor, pouring in and driving us out of our mind. We want to be in a pure state. Here's our purity. This is why we're doing this. So we can behold the self-realities with the self-soul. Because we are truly lovers of mindfulness. It's a higher level of purity. And it's not possible to have noesis, the cognitive function where we can grasp that pure state of being, or the paradigm, through the body. You can't get it through the body. So we have to separate the soul from the body, self by self. And neither associate nor commune with the body as much as we can. Only what is necessary. Okay, this is a purification of ourselves until the divine self should liberate us. So we're liberated from the kind of phronesis of the body, vice. Okay, and then we will know that which is pure. So that's what we're reading now, the pure earth. And this is the truth, because it's not lawful for what is not pure to attain with the pure. So this is our hierarchy of you need the pure soul to attain with pure being to get pure phronesis. So those who are right lovers of learning do what? Repeat this doctrine to each other and believe it. That's what a right lover of learning is. So you can say, well, the first thing, lover of learning, is actually kind of philosophy, only you're repeating it. You're watching this podcast every day, talking to your friends about it, reflecting on it, discussing this over coffee. This is a repetition. So, ain't no way Bill O'Reilly's repeating this, or even John Stewart's repeating this. So they're not really lovers of learning. And so this is the purification. And then when we practice then he gives our, by the way, this purification, again, purification is in his yoga. Separate the soul from the body as far as possible. 1. Accustomed to gather herself together from all quarters. 2. Accustoming, gathering together. 3. Collect self by self out of the body. What does that mean? Self by self sounds like the dialectic. To dwell alone by self as far as you are able. 4. Both now and in the future. 5. This purification, or this is purification. By the way, another word for purification is death. Purification and liberation, separation from the body is called death. So if we do philosophy, so we repeat this, lover of learning, then we do it, whatever that is. We have to unpack and figure out what that is. Now we're doing the study of philosophy. Okay? To practice philosophy in the right way, you're eager to liberate yourself from the body. The separation and liberation of the soul from the body is the self-study exercise of philosophy. So those who are practicing philosophy correctly are studying to die and fear death least. Okay, so we ask questions that will encourage self-reflection so that maybe they can get into this text, read it in this way, repeat it, watch this podcast often. That's lover of learning. And then they start to pick up all those things we said, pick up the key terms, pick up the key relationships, hierarchically order it. Let the particulars fall away. Keep the meaning. Apply it in the different sets, the logos, the states of mind, the functioning, even the furniture, the metaphors. Look for repetition, look for sameness, piece together the text like we're doing, and structure it in a dialectical way. And look for the dialectic in the structure of your dreams, daydreams, life. That's dianoia. So go from reflecting on it to reflecting on it with greater precision. As Socrates often asks Phaedo, be precise with your description of the logos. And what state of mind is Socrates in when he is doing this? Phaedo says, I was in awe of Socrates. Oh, Socrates? Never more than at that time he came to our rescue, as we're talking about with our friends, John and Bill. He had a response to our puzzles, was not at all expected. Mystified me about self. Mystify. Ask questions that will get people curious about the self. in a pleasant and gentle and admirable way. Remember, what does philosophy do? When it takes hold of us, we are imprisoned by our senses, and she encourages us in a pleasant and gentle way. Good bedside manner, if we're talking about the art of medicine. But he also received the logos. It ain't you doing it. If it's the logos, it's a paradigm. It has its own selfhood, its own existence in the pure realm. We have to receive it, which is interesting. How do we receive it? Likeness. Pure. By being pure, we can receive the pure. He keenly perceived the effect the logos had on us. He's judging the logos and states of mind. How does the logos affect the state of mind? Just like we were talking about in our review of our dreams. And why we don't care about the dumb opinions of Bill O'Reilly and these right-wing fascist con artists that somehow get paraded on TV to argue about anything. And we can see that their logos affects their states of mind. And like vice versa. Yeah, they're angry racists. And that's what they're putting on, an act of being an angry racist to con humans. So that they're clouded by their anger and racism and they don't realize they're being stolen from and manipulated through capitalism. That's his job. We can see it. Socrates can see it. But he healed us. We use our art to heal them. So Bill O'Reilly is famous for offering bullcrap false dichotomies. Like he famously said on David Letterman, would you rather invade Iraq or do you hate America? These are not the two options. He doesn't know about the art. He's imprisoned in his vice. So he's not going to say, oh, do you want to invade America or do you want to invade Iraq or do you hate America, or do you want to reflect in a pleasant, gentle, and admirable way where we receive the logos and understand how our mastery of the art of the logos affects us so that we can be healed? He didn't offer that. Just as if a patient comes into a doctor's office with the art of medicine, he's not the one who gets to prescribe the remedy. The one with the art does. That's what Socrates is doing. And he's modeling for us what it would be like to have the art. Himself, like philosophy. What do we read earlier? What does philosophy do? It takes hold of us when we are imprisoned. All we know, we're like the fish. We don't know that there's a world outside of the ocean. But then it takes us and it gently persuades us to collect ourselves together, purify from our physical senses, put aside our physical desires, and love learning, which is the repetition of this, what we're doing. And then from that to lover of dianoia, practice it. Practice everything we say, the terms, the dialectic structure, the relationships, dropping the particulars, going to meaning. That's dianoia. And then once you have nous, you see the real world, bring it all together. That's pure phronesis, and you can use it artfully to heal. Heal. So we can add this. Let's make some space. So maybe we can even add this as a heal. To heal. Heal souls. So, all of these things that we're talking about in our dreams, recognizing the logos, judging the effects of the state of mind, responding artfully according to a paradigm and an art. Socrates is doing what we've been talking about we need to do for our dreams. So we've got and our daydreams, and our friends, and weirdo talking heads on mainstream media if we ever get into a position where we have a comedy news show like Jon Stewart. Okay, so levels of purity, healing souls, or healing or purifying. Souls. Now, with the art of the logos. Now, one of the things we mentioned was judge what logos maintains the phronesis. So, pure city, starting, lowest. Purify our soul, separating from our body and our physical senses and desires. Yes, that makes us like the realm of being, which is itself pure, higher level of purity. More causal. Now, have the both together, we have phronesis, a certain pure state of self. A state. This is like just a quote from the text, by the way. What am I doing? I'm repeating the words in the text. Why? Because I don't know what phronesis is, but the more that I repeat this doctrine, I'm learning. It'll start to make sense. Like, it'll become more obvious. It'll become more normalized by talking about it a lot. Hey, the more of us talking about this, the better. Because otherwise, the loud, ignorant people will establish the status quo with their stupidity. Their vice. So a certain state of self. Okay? But if we have the art of the logos, we can recognize that there is a pure and impure version of phronesis, which is the vice and virtue. Not only that, we can judge what logos maintains phronesis. Now that's what we're looking for in the text. So, the lovers of contention. Here we go. Philonikos. They are unenlightened. And they are engaged in argument about anything with their dumb opinions. By the way, when I say dumb opinions itself, like we are looking for that which is beyond opinion. We're looking for truth. Truth ain't an opinion. Understanding, dianoia, it's not an opinion. Nous is beyond opinion. Literally, it's beyond belief. Here we go. Beyond belief. Or the other word, unopinable. Here we go. So it's for the sake of reaching these pure beings, the pure, again, pure, here's our pure, the pure and uniform. It's for the sake of these beings that we love learning. We're learning so we can be in divine company with the pure and uniform. And we have our orderly temperance, virility, courage, justice. So it's why we love learning and have the virtues. By the way, what virtue is missing? Wisdom. Why only orderly, virile, and just? Sound-mindedness or temperance, courage and justice. Oh, because when we're in divine company of the uniform, wisdom, lover of wisdom, philosophy, is no longer philosophy, is it? It's that phronesis kind of being. So that's why we practice the virtues, for the sake of these beings that we love learning as well. We follow the logos, we get away from our pleasures and pains because that will just imprison us again. We follow, and if we do follow it, we will achieve a calm from those emotions. And we will always commune in this, the true and the divine. And so, behold the unopinable. And this will allow us to escape from human ills. So, when I say dumb opinions, yeah, I mean, objectively, he's lying in order to persuade people to act against their own best interests. That's why it's a scam. But opinions themselves, we're looking to go beyond opinion through the love of learning, through the virtues. It becomes philosophy. It becomes phronesis. So, unopinable. And these others that we extend our art to as best we can, whenever we can, if they're open and then they're curious about it, ask them questions that can make them puzzled about themselves. Those who are philonikos are unenlightened. They engage in argument about anything, and they don't care whether the logos under discussion maintains any phronotousian, phronesis or ousia, the state of self of phronesis, or actually being an ousia. They are only eager that those present believes what they're saying. That's what they do, right? It's what O'Reilly's sort of Ben Shapiro, O'Reilly, Daily Wire, Fox News, all of that crap, scammers, con artists. They don't care about whether or not the logos that they're talking about helps people maintain a state of phronesis or ousia. Never they ask that. They just want those who they're presenting their opinions and their con to believe what they're saying. So, we're understanding others, which is secondary to understanding ourselves. So if we frame it in the positive, if we are unlike them and actually love learning, and then philosophy, let's say dianoia, love learning, and then dianoia, dialectic, logos, and then phronesis, we can judge what logos under discussion maintains phronesis or not. So as a artful guide, which is like a daemon ourselves, daemon-like, we have something that will allow us to judge whether or not the logos is worth doing, whether it will maintain that state of phronesis that you are in yourself. Why? Purified your soul. You've stuck your head above the water and experienced the pure realm of being, pure experiencing pure likeness. That is a state of self called phronesis if you have been learning and integrating, and it's not just a one-off kind of a thing. That's why philosophy is the art and practice of dying and being dead. You will also gain, if you have the art of the logos, you will also be able to discern pure and impure versions, or in other words, recognize vice and virtues. You can judge. Not only that, you can judge what logos maintains it because it's your state of self. So in your dream, did you start in a certain high state? Maybe. Then what happened to distract you? What logos or activity diminished your state of self if you started in a high state in your dream or in your fantasy or in your daydream? Because that logos did not maintain it. So we have to keep an eye on our state of mind, judge it against the pure state of phronesis. There's our paradigm. This as a doctor judges against the healthy body. But also, we have to judge what logos maintains our phronesis, just like Socrates was judging the effect the logos had on the people there. So he could respond artfully and heal them and purify them. Socrates was therefore being like a guide. So, if we have the art of the logos and we're doing this dialectic dianoia, not only can we have this, which is a kind of learning we can take with us and doesn't lose its power, the sake for which we learn anyway, our meaning of life, our purpose, we can also judge what logos, or activity as well, throw that in there, maintains our phronesis, so we can heal artfully like a guide. So what would be healing souls with the art of the logos based on what maintains phronesis or ousia? That would be an artful guide. What is an artful guide? Daemon-like. Can we see it in the text? Can we see it in the opening of the text? He spells it this way. Because that's what we're doing today. We're going back to the opening, because one of the ways of understanding our dreams, we just said, was look at the opening. Why? Because that's a term. So one term, go in a bit, term of dreams, daydreams, the text, and so on, is the opening. The opening. Of course, that can you can recognize in some daydreams, you can recognize in the opening, you might have as a whole everything that will unfold in the drama, which is why if you can catch the image of yourself, just as the actual self unfolds the level of being, the cause of even the causes, so too the image of yourself could unfold the fantasy, the daydream, the dream that follows. And also it will give us a kind of standard to judge the hierarchy. Because we don't just want terms, we want the meaning of the terms. Judge, H-E-I-R-A-C-H-Y. In other words, can we take those terms and arrange them hierarchically? So we have term 1, term 2, term 3, and so on. Why? Because this opening might have a certain need or goal that you seek, and then you can judge how your logos, your state of mind, your functioning, and even the furniture around you, the terms. So we have different sets of terms. We can have terms here for, in terms of logos. We can have states of mind. We can have functioning. Of course, based on justice and so far. We have furniture even. Run out of space. Or metaphors, objects that will have a metaphorical meaning. So these are all things in which we can look for key terms, rank them. But our question is, well, how do we rank them? What makes this term better than this term? What makes this sofa in the room better than the dragon that I run into in scene 3? Well, one way, let's get rid of this guy, is from the beginning. What is the goal at the opening? The opening. What is the goal or the state of mind Okay, so goal, can we see it in the text? I want to, oh Phaedo, can you tell in great detail as you can, possibly can, what? Can you tell me the details about the self-death, his logos and deeds? So here is his goal. Whoops. So here is his goal. How was his self-death? What were his logos? And what was his functioning or deeds? Activity. So here we are. He's looking at Socrates the same way we are learning to look at dreams, daydreams, lives, people, ourselves. Okay, so this was after the introduction about purification. So the purification idea, purifying the city, keeping the city pure. That's the mythology. And then we have the goal. And so we can judge how well did Phaedo talk about the death of Socrates, his logos, his functioning or deeds or activities. Okay, and then what else is in the start? I did not feel pity about Socrates. He appeared like a good daemon. In his state of mind, disposition, and logos. So here he is. So they're judging the states of mind. They're judging the logos. They're judging the deeds. And what's his standard? The daemon. Okay? And he would be benefited. What's another standard? Benefit. He will have divine providence and farewell, even in the next dimensions. They're judging themselves. I was not engaged in pleasure or pain or sorrow because we were doing philosophy, which we were accustomed to do. So we can judge them. What's that? Accustomed to doing philosophy, that's the right lover of learning. Oh, and if it's philosophy, if he's actually structuring, if he's doing all what we're talking about, these key terms and structuring them and ordering them and seeing whether or not he reaches his goal, that's actual philosophy, or philodianoia is maybe even better. And by the way, it felt like I wasn't in pleasure or pain, but they were blended together somehow. Maybe that's the goal of doing this dianoia, so we can stick our head above the water and see that which is the cause of all of the differences in our world of becoming. The one-headed monster, as Socrates said. Blending pleasure and pain. So, what's the goal from the opening? What's the state of mind? If you are in a dream, you might start off in a good state of mind, like what was Socrates described as a great daemon. And in the dream, how does it unfold? So often when we meditate, you can start your meditation, whatever your goal is, hold on to it. Ideally, hold on to a puzzle about yourself, maybe even from the text or from your dream. Why? It's all the conditions for meditation: genuine interest in a question, focus, open-mindedness, puzzlement, separated from your physical senses. It's not a puzzle about, I don't know, what's wrong with the toaster. It's a puzzle about a question which is non-physical. So this is the ideal conditions for meditation. But what will happen? Well, unless we are completely purified from our problems, we will be somewhere along here where we're at and where we're stuck. So I'll have a distraction. As Socrates says, our problems will come clamoring in and drive us out of our mind. But if we're applying dianoia to ourselves, then we can recognize at the opening, there might be an image of ourself that will be the whole that will unfold in the fantasy. Stop your fantasy or your daydream or your distraction and at the beginning and go, hang on a second. If this is a daydream about me, this opening will contain an image of me. Then everything that follows will be the dialectic, or what follows if this is true about me. And because the true self is unopinable, there won't be any image will be lacking. So it's kind of a dialectic. Your fantasy will be a dialectic. Why? Because dialectic is the structure of everything. That's why it's universally understandable. Of side, if is side A, side B of the dialectic is if isn't. If myself isn't the self, if I think I'm this, these problems will follow, these ups and downs, definition, demonstration, division, and then it will conclude synthesis, analysis. Usually it will be a failure and you'll realize, oh my God, I'm not really yelling at my girlfriend. I'm here meditating on my question. I just forgot. So it's kind of like a dialectic, what follows if it isn't. So you don't have to play it out. If you catch it as a whole at the beginning, you can catch the whole fantasy before it has to play out as a dialectic. Why? Because it's contained as a whole. Equally so, in the reading of the text, what's the goal of the text? To judge Socrates in this way, but also his logos, his functioning, his state of mind or disposition. Maybe even there are objects that have a mythological representation, they're metaphors, his chains, this purification of the city with the sacrament to Apollo. These are all objects or metaphors. What do we do with them? We drop the particulars and we keep the meaning. Oh, Apollo means philosophy. Purification means what we're learning about purification right now. Drop the particulars, raise the level of meaning. What gives it meaning? How they're hierarchically arranged relative to our goal. That's what makes it meaningful. Are we reaching our goal or not? Are we maintaining our state of mind? And that's one of the things that we saw we can do with this. If we have that pure state of phronesis, having purified ourselves from our physical senses and stuck our head above the water to see the true earth, that will give us phronesis. If we did so through the art of the logos, our dianoia, our true learning, we can recognize virtue and vice. We can also judge what logos maintains phronesis. So we start a daydream. Oh, that's phronesis. Okay, what logos will maintain it? So it won't be a tragic dream or a dream that ends in failure or a daydream that whatever ends in a negative state of mind or problems, failure. So, but also finally we can heal others or purify souls through the art of the logos as an artful guide. And they are saying, by the way, we are saying, well, hang on a second, an artful guide? Socrates says that the artful guide that is, what's going on here? Where's my, here we are. The artful guide that we are assigned to, Socrates is calling the daemon. Daemon of each soul allotted to them while we're living tries to lead us to the unseen place and gather ourselves together. We have another guide leading us back for our reincarnation. So the more we're attached to the body, the more we fearfully flutter around the body in the visible place. We will struggle much, suffer much. The daemon will have to use force and difficulty to guide us, which is a problem. And we will find fellow travelers and leaders in the proper place if we can reach the sixth dimension. We've done our work. We've done this. Okay, that's the daemon. And by the way, we are learning about what the true earth looks like. And he just finished by saying this true earth is a spectacle, a vision for the vision of the good daemon. So the more we can follow this hierarchy of purity, which was the meaning of the particulars in the metaphor. Water is to air is to, for us, like air is to ether for them. That's about purity. Well, we are going up this hierarchical ladder, kind of like a dream or a dialectic or a progression, to ultimately have our own phronesis with the art of the logo, so we can judge virtue and vice, maintain our own state of phronesis, but also use it to help others, heal, purify souls with the art of the logos. That would make you a fellow traveler and guide, the sort of person who wants to be led into the club of the sixth dimension. Socrates saying, I'm going to the best club in the universe, or beyond the universe, and meet me there. You'll be with fellow travelers and guides. That's what we are. At the end of this, we're also on the journey, so we're fellow travelers. But if we have this kind of level of purity with the art of the logos, we can be a guide. What's that? Daemon-like. This true vision of earth, Socrates is saying, is the vision for a good daemon. So what Socrates is describing is what this guy will see. Part of becoming this. And if this is our purpose or destiny, which we could rank in an analogy, represent in a mythology, present to someone in a dream, maybe, if we have that job for that kind of daemon. Yes, good, thanks. Clap. We can represent this the same way we are unpacking and judging our own dreams, daydreams, and the text. The vision. So that's why we're reading about what the true earth looks like and struggling through it to understand it. Pulling the pieces together. Letting the particulars fall away is probably not actual rivers of lava. They are particulars to represent something about our soul and being. The purifying, the pure soul, and the pure being. Or maybe the being in the state of phronesis, or the being in the state of a daemon. It's going to be something like that, because that makes it meaningful. Dropping the particulars, looking for meaning. Okay? And we said one of the ways of doing that is look at your goal at the end, because that can be a hierarchical arrangement. What's the end goal or end state of mind you're after? But also, what's the opening? Because maybe if we are in a state of phronesis, or we start the dream in a good state, the problem is how we deteriorate. Because if you're don't have the art of the logos, like those people who are philonikos, love of contention, they don't have an ability to judge whether or not the logos maintains that good state. So the dream is a kind of fall or a decline, ending in failure. Often dreams or daydreams are like that. So we look at the whole image, maybe this has the whole problem, or we're in a good state and we are not able to judge whether or not the logos, the functioning, the activity, the deeds maintain that state. And we just saw, so let's apply it to the text. Can we go back to the start and look for the word daemon? Looking for page 5, here we go. So, the very first thing after the introduction mythology was tell us about the death, the deeds, the logos, every detail. Wow.
That's one for the blooper reel.
Wow.
That's one for the blooper reel.
Okay, the death, the goal, the logos, the deeds. Oh, how was he relating to his friends? Interesting. His state of mind, whether or not he was with divine providence. He said he appeared like a good daemon to me. So, pink on pink isn't going to work, is it? Green. So we're seeing this keyword, good daemon, and when we read it the first time, we were like, what the heck is a good daemon? What the heck is he talking about? We were puzzled, we were confused, we could even get angry and irritated and go, if only I had the email address to Socrates or Plato's publishing company, I would give him I would go on Amazon and give him a negative review and give him 1 star because I don't know what the heck a good daemon is, unless it was just like a problem in our dream or our daydreams. This contains somehow the whole that we will only see if we go through it, apply our dianoia to it. So he's giving us something to apply ourselves to get dianoia, to learn the art. So he's helping us out. But when we do, we will be able to make sense of this word at the beginning. So we were puzzled, but it's okay. You're supposed to be puzzled. But then as we go through it, practice the art of the logos, practice dianoia, learn dianoia, it becomes clear. And now we are seeing a whole ton in this word that made no sense to us at the beginning. None. What the heck is a daemon? No idea. Now we have a lot of meaning because we have pulled out a key term from the text, pure. Where do we get it? We got it from the metaphor. Water is to air, is to us, as to air, is to ether to them. That's about purity. So these particulars are only not as important as the meaning. So we let the particulars fall away as we've been practicing all the way through for beauty and equality and so on. Why are you not moving? So then that was a key term, and then we pulled out other instances of the key term. That's a theme. What do we do? Okay. I'm gonna have to do it this way. Mouse is not working. So what are the other times in the text the word pure came up? That's a key term. Key logos. And we had to rank them or judge them hierarchically, related to a goal or state of mind, and that we can see in the opening and to unfold the text in the dialectical structure. That's dianoia. So what did we discover? We discovered the word pure comes up many times at the beginning in a city, then for our soul, then for the realm of being, then pure phronesis. When these two come together, then with the art of the logos, we're able to judge the pure and impure logos as ourselves, the vice and virtue, and judge what logos maintains our state of phronesis. That's important because it's not about just getting a goal. One problem can be, hey, you get the goal, but you don't maintain it. You don't value it. You don't improve it. You have to maintain your goal. So we have to understand with the art of the logos, what logos, activities, conversations maintains our goal. And then finally, if it's so much ours that we are divine travelers and guides, we are daemon-like. And that's the mastery of the art of the logos, that we can also purify other souls artfully. That's a standard or goal. We understand why we're talking about the earth, because that's what this guy would see. And if he needs to see it, maybe it's needed to function in this way, artfully. If the earth with all of its rivers and lakes and stuff is our particulars to talk about the soul or the realm of being or both, then we have to judge other people's soul. Oh, there's a block in this river. There's something wrong with this lake in their soul, whatever that means. Don't know yet. And also relate it to, if it's a judgment artfully, it has to be related to an ideal. There might be an ideal version. So he might be giving us the ideal version of being, of the true earth, of the true realities. We drop the particulars and it's not actually a lake. That's the particulars. That's what makes it a metaphor, like a dream, like a daydream, like a life, really. So we get the meaning, drop the particulars. He's giving us the ideal that we can use to judge other states of soul. Oh, his Tartarus river is blocked or something like that. I don't know. And then that will allow us to use our vision of the daemon to artfully purify souls of ourselves and others and our friends. As one of the things we saw in the opening was, what was he like with his friends? Was his friends there? So friends are a big deal because philosophy ain't a one-person game. It's not a solo project. All right. That's why we have a community. That's why I'm doing this channel. That's why we connect together on Discord and YouTube and Twitch and everything. So we saw it at the beginning, daemon-like. So now we're understanding more about what we're reading. Maybe we're reading the paradigm, the true reality that will allow us to judge souls relative to it because it's in being. And if there's a hypostasis of being or a true earth, and our souls can unite with it, and that's the sake for which we do all this, then, and it's through likeness, pure becoming pure, that we have to match our souls, make our souls look like the true earth, the true being. So that's why it's a paradigm. We have to, just like a doctor tries to make other bodies like the true healthy body, the paradigm of the healthy body. And we saw it at the start, which didn't make sense until we went through it, puzzled, got confused, had questions, and then, like true learning, we repeat it. We go back to the start. Like dianoia, we go through it, and then what's the last stage of the dialectic? Synthesis analysis. We synthesize our vision as we're doing today, and then we take it back to the start. That's analysis. That's what we're doing. Can we see all of this hierarchical arrangement of terms like themes to provide a goal? Hierarchically arranged terms, sameness and difference. What's the sameness? Purity. And can we take it back to the start and see it in the opening? And we did that today. Socrates was like a great daemon. So we're slowly figuring out this confusing story of the true earth at the end. Why we're talking about it, why we're talking about these lakes and things. Well, maybe we are describing the vision of the true daemon that's needed to be that level of purity. And of course, this is Tartarus, the one that goes through the middle. Water, hot and cold, fire, mud, pure and foul, and lava. So these are the kinds of rivers. But also, because we want to go from the physical world, the where before philosophy takes us. Hey, welcome to the chat, Beast. Where we are imprisoned by our physical senses, then philosophy takes hold. We do our proper life's work. We separate our soul from the body, fourth dimension. We realize we can go back and forth from this other place where our daemon guides us to. We'll call that the fifth dimension. But if we complete our life's work, which we're learning, it's a kind of purification leading to phronesis, leading to the art of the logos, or daemon-like. That, here we go. These are all our, how do we complete our work from the third, fourth, and fifth cycle dimensions? Well, we are dianoia, logos and dialectic, education and nurture, nous and phronesis, all that art of the logos. Like a daemon? Question mark. And what happens? We meet better humans and gods. Well, if they're better in humans and gods who've completed their work, they're not stuck between 3, 4, and 5th dimension. They're in the 6th. And if they're fellow travelers and guides, okay, so now we know, yes, they are like a daemon because they're guiding, but we're also traveling together, so we're like friends. So if we're traveling and guiding with using the art of the logos like a daemon to take that journey well, we must be going somewhere. So if we're in the 6th going somewhere, we'll call that the 7th. So this also we're carrying with us 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensions. And also we are seeing, by the way, if we are like the entrance into this club is the art of the logos, which is like a daemon. And he's saying this vision of the earth is the vision of a daemon. So what makes a daemon a daemon? The art to be a good guide, which means he has to have an art that has the ideal, sees the ideal. So this is probably the ideal of being with the particulars that has certain meanings that we can apply to souls to act artfully and beneficially to other souls. So hopefully this will make our struggles and puzzledom in this text more meaningful. We have a reason to do it. Yes, all connected whether we like it or not, absolutely. And we have a purpose whether we like it or not. But I think that the more we see it, the more we will like it. Because it's good and just and beautiful. The difficulty is separating ourselves from what we thought. So if this is our journey towards our destiny, our purpose, our meaning of life, then not only do we have to perfect ourselves in that ladder, we have to separate or purify ourselves from what we thought. So using Bill O'Reilly as our example today, his dad was a racist like him and was rich and realized that if he could lie about the cause of problems being immigrants and not capitalism and exploitation of the poor, then he would be a big, strong, rich man and lots of famousness. So if that's what looks good to him, he is not going to want to find what it's like to be a good daemon, to leave the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions to reach the sixth and seventh. He loves this. He loves his dad. Oh, my dad can beat up your dad. My mum's a saint. That kind of stuff that everyone says if they're a human being at this stage of human evolution. So you're right. So you might not like it until you do, kind of thing. Not in a, that sounds bad. Until you apply the same reflection that we're doing to understand our goal. What are the repeating cycles of problems? What's the cause of it? How is that a shadow or distortion of the ideal? Just as our physical world is a reflection or a shadow or a distortion of the ideal world. Just as the art of the daemon is seeing this true earth as the ideal and therefore can look at the deviations in other individual souls to recognize their illness, their vice, the cause of war and discord, and the cause of their fate, their inevitable movement towards failures, negative states of mind, negative logos, negative opinions that result in them not reaching their goals. Same art can see both. So, as we go back into this reading of the true earth, now we can see why. We're learning the ideal. And if it's the true earth, it's probably being fifth dimension, maybe. And if it's the paradigm, that can be understood so long as we recognize the particulars need to be dropped away because they're metaphors. Why? Because we use metaphor to talk about what we don't know yet by referring it to things that are like what we do know. Like he said, we're like a fish sticking his head above water. Well, we can see that. But so too, we are the fish. So we have to stick our head above and see a real world that'll be like being able to breathe the true air for the first time. And when it happens to us, be like, oh yeah, okay, this isn't bad. This isn't false. This isn't the devil tricking me. This isn't a bad trip. This isn't a hallucination. I'm not going mental. I have an understanding. Oh, I'm sticking my head above the fake world of the physical world that we are here to purify ourselves from. But as human beings, we start imprisoned in, and I'm just seeing the real world finally. But there's more work to be done. I have to master the art of the logos, integrate that experience, understand it, use it as an ideal, so I can judge my own deviations from it. If I do that all time, that's right learning. If I practice it at all time, that's right nurture or virtue. Once it's mine forever, it's phronesis. With the art of the logos, I can really immediately recognize deviations and maintain it. That's our life's work. That's what we're here for. That's the meaning of life. And that's the kind of ticket that allows us into the club of the sixth dimension, where Socrates is saying he wants us to follow him as quickly as we are able. Over here. So kind of a club. That's our ticket to the club, where we find better humans and gods who've completed that work. What's the work? The art of the logos, or pure phronesis with the art of the logos. And we will have guides and fellow travelers, like daemons, go somewhere. We'll call that the seventh dimension. So, this is why we're doing it. We're learning the art of all arts and the meaning of life and understanding it and preparing ourselves to enter it. This is the yoga. This is the method. This is how we purify ourselves to be with the pure. And also, once we do get there, we have the understanding to oh, that's cool. We won't be freaked out. Oh, that's cool. I know this. Oh, this is the real world. Oh, there's that Lake Tartarus. There's that other lake. There's that other river. Oh, those are the real beings. Oh, that's the cause of the gemstones. Oh, those are the true colors. Interesting. Have fun. And by the way, there are humans and living beings there. So, hey dudes, get high fives. Hey, you guys also mastering the art of the Logos while you're here? Sure. Some of us are here for good because we've learned the art of the Logos. We've done our work in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension cycles of reincarnation. Oh, nice. Where are we going? Oh, we want to go to the seventh. In a more pure world, without illness or decay, or in the immortal, indestructible realms. More pure, more beautiful, more just. Less intrusion from our physical senses that come clamoring in and drive us out of our mind. Just like when we're meditating or in a dream, our image of ourself, our false image of ourself, the cause of our problems, not the true self that our art of the Logos leads us to experiencing and knowing. The false one comes clamoring in, drives us out of our minds, causes our problems, makes us wander around as if we're drunk. That's not going to be here, so we can have a better journey to there. So, lots of good reasons to keep puzzling through this curious metaphor and message at the end of this text about the real world. Again, was confusing yesterday or last time. I was very angry because I was puzzled, confused. I was ready to leave that negative Amazon review and contact the Socrates manager and complain. But today we reviewed it, we reflected, we applied, like we were talking about in the chat. How do we understand our dreams and our daydreams and how they're related to each other? Well, just like we understand the text, same paradigm, same dianoia. So we have lots of possible things that we can apply our art to. So that's pretty cool. Lots of opportunities to do this. In doing so, we reflected on the text, we applied those principles, and now what was confusing and puzzling and irritating has now come to light as meaningful, significant, and even the most meaningful. And illuminating as it's higher up on that hierarchical causes, it not only illuminates how we read the text, it will illuminate how we read dreams and daydreams and meditations and images of ourselves, random thoughts, distractions, because it's hierarchically causal, this paradigm. So, we've made the text more meaningful, more interesting, make a bit more sense, also illuminated how to do these other things. So it's worth doing these reflection episodes. And so with that in mind, with the spirit of a daemon, with the goal of mastering the art of daemon, becoming most pure and our highest Logos, our highest functioning, our highest state of self, so that we can do our work here, be a good daemon is also another word for most happy, which is curious in the Greek. If we really want happiness, beyond happiness, kind of happiness beyond pleasure and pain, then this might be what we're after. We're taking all this with us and we get to apply it to this text. He's helping us by giving us this kind of puzzle, this kind of difficulty, presenting it in this way. He's really helping us out in a dialectic through time. Of course, if he's up here in, where is it? In the sixth dimension, then he's outside of time and space, which is in the 3D realm. So he can talk to us through time, through this text, which is pretty wild. Right, eudaimon, yes. The good daemon, which is these dudes, are also the most happy. So Thank you, Socrates. Clap for you for outlining all this. And now we have what we need to take back with us into the text to gain all that amazing benefit and to be okay with being puzzled, to be and maybe we're looking for the paradigm to benefit ourselves. So let's bring that. And so yeah, a lot of a huge teaser for our reading next time. So a huge cliffhanger. And when we get to a cliffhanger, it usually means that it's time to end the podcast for today. So on that cliffhanger and on that bombshell of an insight. So really, I hope that was beneficial. It was really helpful to me and really highlights the significance of applying the dialectic in the way that we're learning to bring to light the meaning, the significance, the intelligibility, the understandability of this and the meaning of this. So with that cliffhanger and that insight, I really hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to like and subscribe on YouTube. Share it with your friends if you think there might be a fellow traveler and guide or someone who might also be interested in learning what Socrates is helping us not just trust, but understand, not just understand, but know is the meaning of life. Wow, that's pretty good. Thank you, Socrates. No clapping. Okay, no clapping. Socrates. Normally I play a sound clip here, but it's not working. All right, so feel free to share with your friends. You can follow along on Twitch or live stream on YouTube. The text is free below. You can join our Discord. And if you have the means and you think this is worth supporting, you can support on Patreon if you are wanting to. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you next time.